rights of the RV enthusiast are important. That's why the RV Advisor has built a nationwide network of RV owners, empowering you with advice you can trust. Visit thervadvisor.com.
This is the RV Advisor Podcast with your host, Tom Alexander. Get all the latest information, trends, advice from experts, stories from the road, and more in the world of recreational vehicles. Now, here's Tom.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RV Advisor Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander, and my guest today, it is Priscilla Kerw. Priscilla Kerw, and you are from Our Family Adventures.
Yes.
And welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's wonderful to have you. And, you know, we were chatting ahead of time and learned a bunch of really interesting, cool stuff, which we're going to touch on throughout the interview. But I got to say, Our Family Adventures is that you have an Instagram site, and it's a family of four, expat family of four. And I should say that previously you're currently in Portland, Oregon, but right now you are. But before you came from Brazil.
Yes. Yeah.
Whereabouts in Brazil were you?
We are from the south of Brazil. It's about 1.5 hours flight from São Paulo. It's the state is called Rio Grande do Sul, and the capital is Porto Alegre, if you ever heard of it.
I have heard of Porto Alegre
because
that's
nice.
I composed a piece called Porto Alegre, which is on my band album.
Wow.
And we're going to get into the whole band thing in a minute because there's a very interesting connection. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But yes.
Yeah.
Porto Alegre, I'm very familiar with. So that's wonderful.
Yes, that's amazing.
Yeah. So how long have you been in the United States now, Priscilla?
So we've moved in 2016, so a little over 5 years now.
Yeah.
And we were just so lucky to happen to live in Portland because we always loved the outdoors. But in Brazil, we didn't explore as much, maybe just because of time, or I don't know why, but just when we got here and we saw that Oregon is so much about the outdoors, we just felt at home, and we started to explore and go camping every summer, and we just love it here.
That's wonderful. And the kids have made a good adjustment?
Oh, yes. We go out all the time, and when it's colder, it's a little harder to have the kids wanting to go, but we still try to get outside and get the fresh air so we can continue to explore the outdoors.
Yeah, that is great. And Brazil is so diverse in terms of culture and in terms of topography and geography and all that, and you have a lot of different climates there.
Yes.
I'm sure that Portland in the Pacific Northwest isn't all too different, probably, from certain parts of Brazil,
yes.
Right?
From certain parts, yes. I would say it's very much the opposite of like the north of Brazil, where it's very hot and
tropical,
dry. Yeah. But from where we are from in the south of Brazil is actually pretty similar to here. We have a very hot summer, but we have a very cold winter as well. In fact, the town where I grew up, where my parents still live, is called Gramado, and they even get snow in the winter. They just had a pretty heavy snow for Brazil this winter, which was so famous, was on TV and everything.
Because people don't necessarily think of snow in Brazil, do they?
Yeah, it was a big deal.
So not the first place your head goes.
Yeah. So in a way, it's kind of similar sometimes here when it's like the rain and the fog. It can be pretty similar to this town where I grew up in the mountains of the south of Brazil. But yeah, usually that's not what you think about Brazil.
Yeah, that's for sure. We're speaking with Priscilla Kerw, And am I saying that? Am I doing okay with that last name?
Yes, yeah, we are
You know,
just
because I was like, okay, well, let me see how you. But then you informed me the origin of it a little bit. It was shortened a little bit, but it's
yes,
spelled Kerw,
yes,
right?
curve. Yeah,
Kerw, and the W is like the German W, which sounds like a V.
correct.
And so there you have it. And it's if you go to KERWS.onthego on Instagram, well, that's where you'll find them. And there's some amazing pictures here, some beautiful photographs.
Thank you.
Just exploding with color, sort of like
Yes.
your background.
Yeah, I guess you like some color.
I'm telling you, not bad at all. So just these are spectacular photographs. So you got to check these out, folks. Wonderful. We're going to come back and talk more with Priscilla in just a moment and learn a whole bunch more and share some interesting stories that we learned about each other. So it's pretty cool. This is the RV Advisor podcast. Stay tuned, back in just a moment.
Here are 5 words every RV enthusiast should know: advocacy, community, education, resources, rewards. That's what the RV Advisor was built on, along with protecting your rights. Visit thervadvisor.com.
We're back on the RV Advisor podcast. I'm Tom Alexander. My guest is Priscilla Kerw, and she is joining us today from Portland, Oregon. And we've talked about a lot of cool stuff, and the fact that she and her family expats from Brazil, near Porto Alegre, not far from there. And before we talk about what you ride around in weekends, I want to mention that Porto Alegre, I mentioned earlier in the podcast that I composed a piece of music called Porto Alegre for my band Earth Code. And we have the good fortune of having a great guitar player from your home country of Brazil named Tomachi. He goes by one name, but some folks may know him as Carlos Tomachi. And he was quite well known throughout Brazil.
Yeah, I was so surprised. Yeah, right? When you mentioned it, you said Tomachi, and I'm like, I kind of know that name.
Yeah.
And then I was like, was he on TV? Because I remember I grew up watching this TV show. It used to go to air very late at night, and usually kids are not supposed to be up that late.
Yeah.
But sometimes I would just be able to watch Tomachi and his band. And yeah, that was a big deal in Brazil. Everybody knows.
What was the show?
Band. It's called Jô Soares. It's a talk show, and they were like the band in the talk show. So it was very popular.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's fantastic. Well, we'll make sure he sees this particular episode, and he'll be thrilled to know that you know who he is. And and it's so funny because, I got to know him in the last couple of years, and we're thrilled that he's with our band. And he does a lot of music all around South Florida. He's here in the Miami area.
Yeah, he's a great musician.
He's a great musician and a great guy. We love playing music with him. So the fact that we have that connection worlds apart is pretty cool, right?
Yeah,
music brings the world together, doesn't it?
For sure. Yeah, I love it.
It absolutely does. Well, that's great. Now you told me that on weekends is kind of your time away, and you and your husband are both work, and so during the weekend you is your escape time, and you get to different places. And let's see, you've got a Crossroads Sunset Trail 28-footer.
Yes, correct. And, I think that's the perfect size for us.
Yeah.
Because we like, also when we look at the fifth wheelers, we are like, oh, that's awesome. It would be amazing to have one of those. But I think it kind of limits us in our weekend style, just to be in a bigger one. So we kind of like the smaller size where we can pretty much fit everywhere and find camping spots easier too, I guess. And sometimes for the summer, we like to plan ahead and book camping spots, but sometimes we just go and try to find it last minute. So I think having a 20-footer makes it easier to find spots too.
And tell us some of give us a favorite place of yours, one or two favorite places that you visited over the past year or so.
Oh my gosh. So we've just had the trailers since this past January 2021. So we've done quite a lot, and my husband is like, oh my gosh, we've done like I don't know now, but so many miles with this trailer already that we have never rode our car this far in 1 year. But the first big trip that we had was to Utah. We've gone to like Mount Rainier and Olympic National Park and Crater Lake National Park. So we are trying to explore the big national parks around here, and there is just so much to do in this area that it's never enough time, and we actually end up wanting to return another time and explore it some more, or go in a different season and see how it looks like. So
sure. Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe you'll get a little extended time in the summer or some at some point.
Yeah.
And, get to spend a little more than just a couple days at certain locations. And I know that if you only have that much time, you can't go a real far distance, right?
Yeah.
By the time you get there, you got to turn around.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. We are just loving it though, because it just makes our life so easy and flexible that we can take our house in our back and just haul it everywhere and have fun. One thing that we haven't explored as much is boondocking, but we would like to explore it a little bit more and be more brave, just staying in the wild and enjoying it, like cool sceneries without the camping structure.
Right. Yeah. Is there any place that you've got on your wish list that you'd like to see?
Yes. So my husband is really, really into going to Montana. So we are trying to plan it for next summer to go to Montana for maybe a week.
Yeah, that's great.
Road trip. Yeah.
It's I've not been there myself. They call it Big Sky Country because it's the vistas, the views are just amazing.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of friends and family that have gone there and visited, and they just can't say enough about it. It's just beautiful.
Yeah.
So that'll be a fun trip.
Yes, we are looking forward to it.
That's great. And the kids must really love it.
Yes, they do. It's just so good to be outside and be able to have them explore and do stuff outside. Is just very rewarding, especially for us that I think we working from home and being home so much. I think we found this as an escape to be able to put our kids out in contact with nature. It's just so easy to get caught up with technology nowadays that we felt that we just needed something else to connect with nature, and this has been working pretty well.
Yeah. Well, it's a great way to connect with nature. That's wonderful. It's been a lot of fun talking to you, and we will like to check in again down the road when maybe you yourself are down the road someplace.
Yes.
And connect with you and see how things are going. But it sure sounds like you've got a good plan. You've managed to mix work and pleasure.
Yes.
Which is not a bad deal. So that's a good thing. And thank you so much. You have a message in Portuguese for Tomachi?
That's a surprise one. A message in Portuguese. Tomate, eu amo o teu trabalho e gostaria muito de te ver por aqui também.
which means?
I love your work, and I would love to meet you here in the US at some point.
Well, you come to South Florida, and I can all but guarantee that if you guys come for a visit.
Yes, we have to plan for that, for sure.
That sounds great. Well, thank you so much. Obrigado.
Obrigado, você.
And we will see you again down the road.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. My guest was Priscilla Kerw, Kerw. That's where you want to find them. You can get them on Instagram, again, at KERWS.onthego. That's where you'll find them and find all those great photos and catch up with these wonderful folks. And we'll see you. We'll be back here in just a moment to wrap things up. This is the RV Advisor Podcast. Stay tuned.
Thank you.
Here are 5 words every RV enthusiast should know: advocacy, community, education, resources, rewards. That's what the RV Advisor was built on, along with protecting your rights. Visit thervadvisor.com.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the RV Advisor Podcast. I'm Tom Alexander. Just wrapping things up, and just want to remind you, rvaca.org. That's rvaca.org is the place to go to register your unit, soon to be your voice in Washington. Thank you so much for watching and listening to the RV Advisor Podcast. We'll see you next time. So long, everybody.